This video is a sped up recording of me making a little tiny figurine of King. I was trying to just make a sculpture real quick out of some air dry clay because I felt like I didn't have the time to make a plushie right now, and I thought, oh, you know, I'll do this for now and it'll be fast, and then I'll make a plushie when I have more free time in the future. But turns out that Crayola brand air dry clay, not really the best for anything with like multiple pieces or anything where you want to kind of work back into it later on. There are some brands of clay that do well with that. Turns out this one is not one of them. And it kept falling apart, and I would glue it back together, and then it would break where it was glued. And so I finally decided I'm not going to paint this because it's going to just disintegrate. It's just going to shatter into a million pieces of dust. And I decided I didn't want it to go to waste entirely, so I made a mold of it. It was my first time working with this mold making material. It was great. I think it would have went really well if it weren't for the material being what it was. Basically, this clay being water-based meant that it created a lot of bubbles and made the mold not the best that it could be. But I cast it in resin and kind of cleaned it up and painted that instead. And basically, it took way longer than if I would have just made a plushie in the first place. And I will eventually make a plushie, and I'll show you guys progress on that, and he'll be very fuzzy and cute, and I'm excited. But I figured I might as well let you see this lumpy dumpy disaster in progress. And in the meantime, I'm gonna talk about some, King theories that I'm excited about, just, casually. The first theory about his identity that I agree with is that he is actually the big skeleton that the whole Boiling Isles is on. That it's, because it's got the horns, and I mean, having the first episode center around the fact that King has these delusions of grandeur kind of makes you think that there's more to it, that being in the very beginning makes me think that they are going to talk about why he actually thinks that there is a reason that he believes that he's more powerful than he is. So I like the idea that that big skeleton is actually him. Maybe he's reincarnated or whatever the case may be. That would be super cool. The other thing about that is, Bat Queen was the talisman on a staff for a giant, and she doesn't remember who it was. And the only giant we know of is that giant that's dead. And I was like, oh no, like that's probably whose staff she was on, and she's gonna find out that they're dead and she's gonna be all sad. But if it's King, then they can still reconnect because he's alive. So I don't know. I'm hoping that is a possibility, and that can, let her resolve, and that can let her resolve the missing him and everything, and they can have some closure in their relationship, and it'll be cute because I love them and I want the best for them. But of course, because I am helplessly obsessed with Gravity Falls, the desire for him to be Bill's new form is strong. I mean, yes, I think it's probably more likely that there's something else going on, but I would just ascend to a higher realm if it turns out that King is Bill. Because if you don't know, when Bill was dying, he called upon the axolotl, who has said that if Bill wants a chance to absolve his crimes in a different form, in a different time, like if Bill evokes the axolotl, then he doesn't have to die, but he will have to be incarnated into a different form to atone for his crimes. And so the idea is, ooh, what if the axolotl made him small and powerless and limited to one form, and now, nobody's taking him seriously, he has no powers, he can't, dominate people, and he has to feel as powerless as he would make other people feel, and learn how to love people, which he's doing. And I love that so much. I love really powerful beings being reduced to something small and helpless. Like, it's so cute. It makes me so happy. It makes me laugh, and it makes me, like, dive the cuteness. Probably because there's something wrong with me, but it especially reminds me of Salem in Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and I'm not talking about the new, like, edgy Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I'm talking about the cringy one from the 90s, where Salem could talk, and the deal is that Salem is not a cat. He's a witch, but he was turned into a cat as punishment for trying to take over the world. And that was, like, my favorite thing. I was like, that is the greatest. I was like, I love this. I love this, like, overpowered villain turned into a cat, and now he, like, plays with yarn in spite of himself. Like, it's beautiful. And so the idea of that happening to Bill, who's one of my favorite characters ever, is, yes!
Enjoying your life as a cat?
Yes.
The urinary tract problems?
No.
Giving back to the community?
Yes.
Gotten any strays in trouble?
No.
Still want to take over the world?
Yes. Wait, no. I meant no. No!
And, you know, Bill forced Gideon into a little cutesy sailor suit against his will, and King got forced into a little cutesy sailor suit against his will, so I wonder if it is Bill, if they'll have more things like that where, like, very specific karma. I mean, you do have the fact that King is constantly making deals with Ida, but losing, whereas Bill used to make deals with people and constantly win them. Now he's the one getting conned and scammed and everything, and that would be fabulous, as far as having a karmic incarnation as this little fluffy boy. And I mean, people have had, there are way better theory videos about this that go into more detail, but I'm just saying that I love it. Anyway, yeah, you can see he turned out sort of bumpy, you know, and plus because it was falling apart, everything I was struggling to feel like I could sculpt it as much as I wanted to, and I wanted to fix the eyes. The eyes are too far apart, and there's things about, like, the brow ridge of the skull that I don't like. You know, it's not to where I want it to be, but it's that material turned out to be hell. But at least it was a learning experience to play with the casting and the resin and everything, and he's still pretty cute. He's still pretty cute. Although, his bunny is another thing that would be funny if he was Bill, because that's his favorite and it only has one eye. Oh boy. But regardless of what the deal turns out to be with King, he is our king. We love him. We stand. He's beautiful. That's our furry evil baby man. I don't know if you've seen the video where they're like, manic pixie dream girl, nah, get yourself a depressed goblin nightmare boy. But that pretty much hits the nail on the head. On the cute little precious head